shampoo, conditioners, soap, the things that we use to clean our house, our personal hygiene, how we wash our clothes, all of that contain chemicals that have been proven to alter our system.
Yeah, and perfumes is one of the worst
and
things.
Perfumes.
Yeah.
I used to put a lot of perfume going in my house, and after I saw Dr. Clayton, she told me, "You're wearing perfume right now, Carla. I can smell it from here." And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "We're gonna stop that right now." And I'm like, "Oh my God." But yes, continue. So
Yeah.
I love
Okay, so let's say the toxin is in your body, i.e. the breast implant and the plastics, whatever's seeping from it, whether it's silicone or plastics. So the immune system is activated. It may not be activated enough to make you like even notice anything, but it's low level. So, you know, the more your immune system is activated, the more of the energy that it's, you know, pulling away from other sources like digestion, brain function, and ability to go run and sleep well. And, you know, because Carla was saying earlier, she used to get up in the morning and she'd run all day, have a great day, and sleep well. No more. You know, so that's kind of slowly goes away as the more toxic we are. And it's, you know, it's the immune system's reaction to the toxicity. And so in the tissue, when the immune system is reacting, what happens is that these toxins will cause a huge response from the adaptive immune system. And that when that immune system gets active, it starts making memory cells. Okay, so then you start, you know, and then, but the problem is like, so you've got a lot of tissue damage when the immune system, that Pac-Man is going around, because every time it like eats a toxin, it's all releasing like chemicals that can cause tissue damage. So then, like, it can take that dead tissue, bits and pieces of it, over to the lymph cells or the T cell of the adaptive immune, and then the T cells get like, oh, I'm really interested in this self tissue. You don't want it to get interested in that self tissue and start making antibodies, because then you're like starting to make it, that's where autoimmunity can come in. Yeah. But these inflammasomes, these are called inflammasomes when it's in the tissue. You know, they shut that, it will shut down the innate immune system. So then you lose your surveillance, because most of our tissue in our body is like bacteria and viruses, and our innate immune system keeps it suppressed. So we live in harmony with them. They don't harm us. Yeah. You know, we never really kill them off completely. There's some bacteria that we have to kill off completely, like tuberculosis and anthrax and stuff like that. Yeah. But like, we all have all these viruses. We all have some type of herpes virus. We have one or two or both. HHV, herpes type 6, type 7, and those two, you know, will attack the brain. You know, we have the chickenpox virus, which is a herpes virus. We have cytomegalo. We have all of this, and a lot of us even have those Lyme, you know, antibodies and stuff. But the thing is, if you're healthy and you don't have all of these inflammasomes, you don't have anything suppressing your innate immune system, the levels are kept so low that it never causes illness. Okay, yeah. So when you don't have that immune surveillance of the innate immune system, what happens is now you have a bigger burden on the adaptive immune system they make specific antibodies to target. And with all of this tissue damage, it can actually cause autoimmunity. You start making, and once you get an autoimmune disease, I don't care what anybody says, it is not curable. You can put it in remission, because these T cells, these memory cells, these B cells, they'll make these memory cells. They're not deletable. They're self-renewing. You can shrink them down, but like next time you get in, they're like sitting around like waiting for another exposure, and then get another exposure. They clone out to millions, and then you've got this attack, and it can attack your brain, it can attack your joints, and you know, just anything, and you can just feel awful. I mean, we really don't want a high burden. We don't want those T cells being fed, you know, all of our tissue debris and stuff like that. We don't want to excite those T cells. We really want the innate immune system to do its job and take the burden off of it, so they just kind of go to sleep and, you know, kind of sit back and
relax.
Yeah, relax. Yeah, so you really want your innate immune system. So when you've got all of this tissue inflammation from like a toxin like breast plants or chronic pathogens, you know, chronic gut dysbiosis, and even when you have chronic stress chemistry suppresses the innate immune system too.
Okay.
So, and if you have an autoimmune disease, guess what? It goes back and suppresses the innate immune system. If you have chronic dysbiosis, it suppresses. So if if you have mold in your home, mold is really, really huge for triggering autoimmunity and like making you even sicker than you already are. You know, you've got a whole barrage of things, maybe candida going on, you know, and then even if you had like a concussion or traumatic brain injury at one point, that suppresses the innate immune system and activates the immune system in the brain.
So I guess
so many things going on.
I guess your emotions can also suppress the immune system somehow.
Right. And did I talk to you about like resolving trauma, working on like doing emotional freedom tapping?
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy on YouTube that I follow. His name is Brad Yates. He has like over 200 videos on tapping. Brad, BRADYATES. You can pull him up on YouTube, and he will, you can like see the different tapping that he does for different situations. So if you're not in a good place emotionally, or you're angry or feeling sad or anything, he has something that addresses like every emotion, and you just 5 to 7 minute video, and it does this tapping, and it rewires the signals in your brain, and the stress chemistry goes down. You can reduce stress chemistry by about 70% in just minutes by doing deep breathing, doing tapping, doing EMDR kind of work, things, and seeing somebody that helps lower past traumas and emotional stress. So the stress is really, really huge in getting well.
What we see in the breast implant illness community is that some of these women, most of them, like I would say like 98% have developed candida overgrowth, and some of them have developed multi-CC, and some of them have developed autoimmune disorders. So I have a lot of people texting me, sending me messages via Instagram or Facebook saying, I removed my breast implants and I still feel awful. And in my case, I had my breast implants for 20 years. Like, I changed pairs, but my immune system was exposed to breast implants for 20 years. Today, I showed Dr. Clayton my lab work, and I told her, I want to cry, because I've been doing all this hard work. I've been doing really, really hard work. I'm very strict on my diet. I'm very strict on my protocols that we have together. And I'm seeing my viral tears are still showing up very high, and we are trying to work this out. So Dr. Clayton, let's take me as an example for them, in which I have a high viral tears. I have some mole IgGs that are high, as well as the Epstein-Barr virus is very high. So what recommendations would you do from the functional medicine and from all your experience to all these women that are experiencing getting sick often, or trying to get out from their issues with the breast implants and whatever how it was affected in their immune system? So how could you help them, and how can I help them too? Because they ask me all the time, like, what do I do for detoxing? How can I help my body improve?
Sure. Well, the first thing, I don't recommend anybody jumping into detox when you're really not feeling all that well and you've got a lot of inflammatory, like, you don't do lymph massages right away, because what that can do is just take those toxins to the lymph, and now the T cells are all excited. You want to lower, you want to find the triggers first. My first go-to is always, changing the diet. The diet that I would recommend is autoimmune paleo, because it takes out like the top 8 allergenic foods.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's plenty of books online on you know, how to follow the autoimmune paleo diet. You know, you want to change the diet the very first thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, anybody with an autoimmune disease, it's an absolute must to be on an AIP diet. And if you have or working with somebody that can order food sensitivity testing, the newer tests are a lot more accurate. I'm using the Fit Food test by KBMO. It actually tests the foods that are causing inflammasomes in your tissue. And so with breast illness, you know, that's kind of a big thing. You really want to reduce that. And when those inflammasomes are elevated, it suppresses the cells, the mitochondria, which is the energy to produce an organelle inside the cell, from NAD. And so your body gets depleted of niacin. So one thing, you know, I would recommend is if you can't afford food sensitivity testing, another good test is the Zoomers by Vibrant Labs. Those are fantastic. You know, sometimes I use them both in combination so I can get a better picture. But, you know, so you want to like remove all the foods because that can lower inflammation like dramatically within just days. Okay, so that's the first thing. You know, change your products to non-toxic. Don't ever use plug-in air fresheners or anything. I had 2 clients yesterday and put them were using plug-ins and they didn't understand why they were getting migraines. So you know, really clean up the diet, clean up your environment. If you have suspicion of mold in your house, get a mold inspector to come in and get that remediated, because if you don't fix this and you don't remove the triggers, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So it's going to be a really difficult challenge. And then the next thing, you can support your innate immune system. You know, the cruciferous vegetables are very good for supporting. It supports the innate immune system. But the thing is, you kind of have to get them raw, because if you cook them, it like destroys the sulforaphane or the glucosinolate, the active ingredients in it. There's some supplements that you can take. One I like is called Brocomax, and it has the enzyme that helps it be active. And Pure Encapsulations makes a product called Innate Immune Support, which has the reishi mushroom, the endographis, and the endographis is really great because it's, you know, it helps with that viral load, get that down. Endographis, the reishi mushroom, that really stimulates, you know, the innate immune system. And another thing that happens is, like with all that tissue damage, you get potassium spilling out of the cells. And just taking a supplement that has like potassium and magnesium. The one I like is called Rescue by Body Bio. And then, you know, a really fabulous supplement. You probably all see it on Facebook ads all the time. It's called True Niagen, or NAD ribose. Because what that will do is help your cells make energy, and then the ribose will help with cellular repair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anything that's damaged and repaired. You know, and supporting your innate immune system with stuff like glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, selenium, vitamin E, and I like tocotrienols. I like the one by Unique E brand. And so all of these things can kind of work to kind of help, you know, support your innate immune system. And if you have autoimmune disease, you know, we can block that pathway with vitamin A, but be careful, you know, because vitamin A can be toxic too if you're pregnant. So, you know, you really need to work with somebody on that. I use high doses of vitamin A. For viruses, high-dose vitamin A can, you know, blocks virus from entering into cells. So there's a lot of things you can do naturally with nutrition to kind of shift your immune system and support it and block other ways. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you can do.
So, what do you? Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about before we started is that Dr. Clayton, she has a way to help you get your supplements, right? And we're gonna collaborate together to see how we can help breast implant illness women group from my page or from any other page, because the purpose of my page is just to bring value to the community, because that's my lesson learned, and I want to share with you guys. So Dr. Clayton has, and I can see this because I used to buy my supplements from another source, and much more expensive, and Dr. Clayton has a way to provide you with supplements that will help you support this part of your immune system. I also suggest that you need to get medical advice from, especially a functional medicine doctor. Dr. Clayton, she does online consultations, and she also has her office here in Houston for the people who are in Houston. So she's very reachable, and you have her here, and you can give them your contact information, how you can be easily contacted via Facebook or
energy, and then the ribose will help with cellular repair. You know, so anything that's damaged and repaired, you know, and supporting your innate immune system with stuff like glutathione, N-acetylcysteine, alpha lipoic acid, selenium, vitamin E, and I like tocotrienols. I like the one by Unique E brand. And so all of these things can kind of work to kind of help, you know, support your innate immune system. And if you have autoimmune disease, you know, we can block that pathway with vitamin A, but be careful, you know, because vitamin A can be toxic too if you're pregnant. So, you know, you really need to work with somebody on that. I use high doses of vitamin A for viruses. High dose vitamin A can immune system and support it and block other ways. There's a lot of things that you can do.
So, what do you? Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about before we started is that Dr. Clayton, she has a way to help you get your supplements, right? And buy my supplements from another source, and much more expensive, and Dr. Clayton has a way to provide you with supplements that will help you support this part of your immune system. I also suggest that you need to get medical advice from, especially a functional medicine doctor. Dr. Clayton, she does online consultations, and she also has her office here in Houston for the people who are in Houston. So she's very reachable. And you have her here, and you can give them your contact information, how you can be easily contacted via Facebook or your website.
Well, also I want to add that I'm currently working on a free webinar just explaining how the immune system works. Okay. So, you know, the immune system is very, very interesting, and you know, and I was very, very confused for many years, even as a pharmacist, even in my master's program, even in my doctorate program, and then I took some postdoctorate immunology courses, and you know, it's kind of brought it all together. And I thought, how can I take all of these 80 lectures that I've had in functional immunology and explain it to where a layperson could understand it. So I'm sifting through all my material and going to put together like a 45-minute to 1 hour free webinar. That's just awesome. So that you can kind of get, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details, but just to give you an overall picture of how it all works and how it all goes wrong. Yeah. And so
because things can go wrong. I mean, we never think that we can get to a point like, for example, I never thought this could happen to me. I mean, never happened to nobody in my family. and now I'm just facing a lot of things that I have to do to be back to who I am or who I used to be. I don't know what's the right way to say it, but things go wrong, and we get our immune system somehow is the one who is in charge of everything, even to control cancer cells, to overgrowth and things like that. So Dr. Clayton, if you could talk a little bit more about like what would you suggest for women who have explanted, that they remove their breast implants and they are about 3 months out of this surgery and they still complain about feeling a lot of fatigue, a lot of issues, like they describe like they feel ill all the time. So what are basic steps that they can take? I know, like for example, you suggested me to take the flaxseed and put it in water overnight and let her sit in boiling water overnight, close it, and then drink the next day to help the toxins moving out of your system, because that will contribute. So things that we know that they don't really need much medical guidance or support from a person like you, and that we know that are safe for them to start practicing, besides also the tapping technique. What would you say to them?
Well, something pretty safe, it would be like activated charcoal.
Okay.
Like maybe take activated charcoal at bedtime, and so because the whole blood supply goes by the intestines, if you have charcoal in there, it's going to start absorbing. That would be one thing. If you can tolerate, see if you can tolerate exercise. If you find yourself crashing an hour after, then that's too much. You want to start with light stuff. Even if start with 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes, and then see if you could tolerate a little bit of lymph drainage. I wouldn't do it on days that you feel really horrible, but YouTube has some great training videos on dry brushing, getting the dry brush. I would start with something really light like that. They have these brushes you can buy, and it's really light, and they'll show you the techniques on the YouTube videos. I would start with that and see how you do before you go to a lymph massage therapist, because then they will really mobilize the toxins and then you'll feel awful.
Yeah.
Making sure you're well hydrated. You want to drink half your body weight in pounds and ounces of water. So that's typically 2 to 3 liters of water every day to help wash out the toxins.
Yeah.
Make sure you're having a bowel movement every day. If you're not, then maybe you need to take some magnesium and some psyllium, something to help with more fiber to help with.
One thing that we talk about and has helped me a lot is taking magnesium citrate at night, because I was taking, and this was something I didn't know, I was taking magnesium glycinate. And there is a difference in the supplements, and magnesium glycinate could make things worse. So Dr. Clayton suggested me, no, we need to change to magnesium citrate. And it works, it helps.
Is it working better?
Yeah, it works much better. And I'm also doing the flaxseed, and I'm doing the ultra binder, which is the charcoal with the black powder.
It has several things in it to
mix, to remove toxins out of your system. Is that a safe product for them to use at night?
Yeah, charcoal isn't even absorbed into the body. Actually, when I worked as a pharmacist in the hospital, people would come in with overdosing, and we would put a nasal gasoline tube. They'd pump their stomach in, and they would fill their whole stomach and intestines full of activated charcoal.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
It might just turn your poop black, but that's about it.
Exactly. So, in terms of, there are other people that are watching us, and I want to say hi to all of them, because I can see here my friend Javier Lacayo. I love him. He's awesome. He's been asking me how I feel since he knew I was having trouble with my health. And so many people have, they get sick, they want to strengthen their immune system. They have kids who are getting continuous calls from school, right? So what are the top 3, 4, 5 things that you would say they need to have as a must in their daily routine so they keep that immune system strong? And because I know not all of us in here connecting and seeing this video, even if right now or later, but all of them just want to have some advice.
Well, drinking herbal teas would be a good thing to do. Try to exercise as much as you can. Don't push it. Start with 3 minutes, and if you crash after exercise, then kind of back off. You want to do a little bit of that. Do a daily meditation. If you can tolerate a little bit of lymph drainage with dry brushing, then you can go to the next step. They have these chi machines that you put your ankles in that sways you back and forth, rebounders, things like that, lymph massage therapists. Another good way to detox is infrared saunas. There's like these places all over town. I think it's called Hot Works. They have it on here. You can go and sit in an infrared sauna. You might want to start with just a few minutes because it will penetrate like an inch or 2 into the skin and stimulate the cells to expel toxins. But you don't want to do too much too fast, and don't do it when you're like really, really toxic. You've got to change your diet first and make sure you're well hydrated. And then if you're going to do some kind of infrared sauna, you want to make sure you take that charcoal before, and also some oils.
Like which oils you recommend?
Like avocado oil, coconut oil. The oils will bind. The toxins are lipophilic. That means they like fat. So you put a lot of fat in your gut. You put a lot of psyllium husk or binders or activated charcoal. You take that true niagen before. The niacin helps expels the toxins, increases your metabolic rate. You want to see if you can tolerate exercising before you get into sauna, because that gets your blood flow, gets the blood flow into the periphery and circulation, and see how much you can tolerate. I had read a study one time that these people they measure their toxin level, just normal people, and measure their toxin level. They did an hour sauna every day for 4 months, and then they remeasured their toxin level, and their toxin level was lowered by 67% just in 4 months. But after you get out of there, you got to make sure you wash. Take a shower, because you want to get all those toxins off of you, rehydrate, electrolytes, that rescue that I was talking about, have plenty of potassium. And eat
so all these things can be done for a person that is just healthy and want to keep, all the toxins from their regular life out of them and keep their immune system balanced, let's say. And in terms of people who are sick or are trying to get better, they need to go slow. And can you talk a little bit, Dr. Clayton, about the Herxheimer effect? Because people don't understand why we cannot just go fast when we're gonna start any treatment in our body.
So Herxheimer is like in conventional medicine, like we give them an antibiotic, and then the patient gets sicker because the antibiotics going in and it's like killing all the pathogens. So then you got these dead body parts floating around in the body, and our detox just can't get rid of it fast enough. And so we feel achy and flu-like all over. So when you're detoxing and you're expelling toxins quicker, then your body's able to expel it. Then you feel like the flu. That's called a Herxheimer reaction. So you don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to ever feel sick when you're detoxifying. If you're feeling sick, you've got to back off, because that's too many toxins. Those toxins can be taken right to the brain, and you don't want that. Yeah. So you don't try to do anything that's pushing it. Detoxifying should feel good. If you don't feel good after a sauna, or you don't feel good after lymph, everybody kind of feels a little sinus congested and everything. A little bit, is okay, but don't get it to where like, okay, I did lymph drainage massage and I'm in bed for a week. I did it.
And it can happen.
Yeah. you know, so it's really interesting that you say that, because when I was a pharmacist and I was really sick, I'm like, I'm gonna do a juice fast.
Oh.
And I didn't know anything about toxic products and everything. I was using Dove, I was using all this fragrance stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna do a fast on juice. And I did it after 3 days. I was so sick, and it threw me into a severe chemical sensitivity to where, like, every day, like, first it was my deodorant. I started having palpitations and chemical sensitivity, and then the next day it was my soap. I like couldn't even walk in the bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the next day it was my hand lotion, and you know, and then it was my toothpaste, and then it was my dental floss. I reacted to everything,
Wow.
even my dental floss.
Wow.
And
I mean,
I went into this severe chemical sensitivity because my immune system was just so raw. And at that point, I grabbed everything, all my chemical products and everything, and I threw them out of the house. And that's when I like totally went chemical free. And it took me, you know, the diet changes, and even rotating foods is really important, because even if you're not really sensitive to a food, your immune system's reacting. And if you're like really, really inflamed, even that little bit of reaction to a food that you typically eat can kind of throw you. And so rotating a food, so if you eat it, it takes 3.5 days for a food to get out of your system. So if you rotate that every 4 days, so you have an immune reaction day 1, you have another immune reaction day 2, day 3, and now you're like over the threshold for releasing more immune inflammatory stuff.
Yeah.
So if you eat it and you don't eat it again for 4 days, the level of reaction has come back down to baseline. So you want to like try to like not eat the same thing